allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we're going to have our roll call.
Town of Vidalia Board of Aldermen roll call for regular meeting of the Mayor and Board of Aldermen dated August 10th, 2021. Alderman Betts.
Present.
Alderwoman Denby.
Present.
Alderman Gardner. Alderman Gardner is noted to be absent at this time. Alderman Probst.
Here.
Alderman Smith.
Here.
Mayor, let the record show a quorum of the board is present and accounted for.
All right, thank you very much. The first thing we have is to approve our minutes from our last meeting. If you've had a chance to review those, can I have a motion to approve?
I make that motion.
Motion made by Ms. Denby. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Second by Alderman Smith. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. We're to our public comment on our current agenda items. If you're on the agenda later, directly related, you can save your comments for that time when we actually discuss these things. But anybody from the public have any comments on anything on our agenda at this time? Okay. Yes, ma'am.
I would like more clarification, please, on the, what number is it? It's the Natchez Inc., number 8.
Yes, ma'am.
Discussion of the Town of Vidalia membership agreement with Natchez Inc. And I know some things about what Natchez Inc. has done. Well, I know that we have a relationship with Natchez Inc. and that they were instrumental with working with Vidalia for Vidalia Denim. But,
And Sarah.
huh?
And Sarah.
Oh, yeah. But the one that sticks in my head is the one that's kind of sick, and that's Vidalia Denim. And I just want to know, what are we going to do to turn it around? Because I can't see, and I heard some of the past discussions about what it was going to do, the jobs it was going to bring, but I know that Vidalia Denim is in trouble. So what are we going to do?
Okay.
No, what y'all going to do, Natchez Inc. and Vidalia city officials going to do with Vidalia Denim? We don't have the jobs, and it's not where we thought it would be. And my other part of my question is, how important is Natchez Inc. to Vidalia?
Okay. Good questions, but Ms. Lynch, tonight's discussion is going to be about the contract we have with Natchez Inc. We're not going to be, I'll visit with you after the meeting. I have information, all the information you need on on Vidalia Denim. I'll be glad to discuss it with you and where they're at. I'll be glad to do that. But tonight's discussion is strictly the contract between, which that does pull denim into a little bit with Natchez Inc. and the contract that we have. And so I appreciate your comments. Anybody else? Okay, we're going to move on into our agenda. First thing we have is presentation of the financial statements for June of 2021. And we have Ms. Deborah Moak, our CPA, is going to give a report.
Tonight's financial statements include the balance sheet as of June 30th, 2020, the statement of revenues, expenditures, and changes in fund balances for the 12 months ending June 30th, 2021, a summary budget to actual comparison by fund, and a detailed budget to actual comparison by department. These financial statements have been distributed to all departments and aldermen for their review. In summary, the town has combined cash in the bank of $9.7 million, included restricted funds of $7.7 million in the hydro fund and $717,000 in the sales tax fund. We have investments of $3.9 million. The hydro reserve fund has 2.4 of that, and 1.5 million is in the general fund. Total assets are $40.8 million. Total liabilities are $9.5 million. The fund balances is at $31.3 million. The statement of revenues, expenses, and changes in fund balance for the 12 months ending June 30th, 2021 indicates combined revenues of $35.5 million, or 99% of total revenue, budgeted revenue, total expenditures of $33.4 million, or 99% of total budgeted expenditures, for a net change in position of a $2 million excess. The budget was amended in May of 2021, projecting a $2.3 million surplus. The financial statements include capital outlay of $3.1 million of a $3.4 million budget. The decrease in projected change in net position is due to having projected higher costs for the hydro power, which did not happen, therefore a reduction in the hydro royalties revenue. As reported previously, these financials include approximately $375,000 for emergency work and debris removal during and after the winter storm. Damage inventory report has been submitted to FEMA. All of the categories are now open for reimbursement. The town's expecting to receive $267,500 reimbursement in the 21-22 fiscal year. The entire process will take several months to complete before we start receiving the funding. As of today, approximately $3.8 million has been borrowed for the substation construction to cover materials, engineering costs, right-of-way acquisition, and legal fees incurred. The aldermen have been notified before the draws are made so that they can be aware of where the money is being spent. The town has saved a lot of money by procuring the materials prior to the pandemic. Funds for the American Rescue Plan of $1.4 million to the town of Vidalia have not been received yet. We are expecting to receive this money any day now. The money must be spent over 4 years or returned. Eligible uses include responding to the public health emergency, negative economic impacts, revenue loss due to COVID-19 public health emergency, provide premium pay to eligible workers, and make necessary investments in water, sewer, and broadband infrastructure. This money will come in 2 equal payments. These financial statements are not final for the year since numerous accruals for revenue and expenses are made prior to turning it over to the auditors. However, I do not anticipate that there will be any major variances in the outcome.
Okay, any question from the council? Okay, thank you, Deborah, appreciate it. Number 2 is the board discussion vote on approval of occupational license applications. The first one we have is Run Delivery LLC. Miss Latasha Ward, is she here? Hey, Miss Ward, how you doing?
How are you?
Doing good.
So, basically, let me tell you a little bit about myself. I'm actually a native here of Vidalia. I've moved back within the last year. I do have a business that I started in 2014, which was supposed to be in Vidalia, but things didn't work out. It was going to be over at Myers Electric in that area. Things didn't work out. I ended up going to Franklin Street over in Natchez. The business is called B's Boutique. Like I said, been there since 2014. This year, I'm deciding to go ahead and let it go, and I want to venture off into opening something here in Vidalia. Now, due to COVID, I know that a lot of people are being restricted to going to go in different places, and I do know that down here is very limited with transportation. Now, my overall idea is to develop a delivery service that will help the pharmacists get the patients their medicine in a timely fashion. Now, how this will work will be the pharmacies will automatically have a software system set up for themselves. Each pharmacy automatically has their software system. Now, the software system automatically has a delivery service that will be set up. Now, whether they set it up or not is the question. Right now, no one in the area has set this up just as of yet, but the software is available. So my job is to come in the area and just provide this service to, I'll say the patients in the area, because at this point, like I said, it's no transportation for them to get to and from where they need to go. And right now, it'll probably be a bigger help hands-on because of COVID and helping patients getting their medicine in a timely fashion.
Okay, any questions from the council? Thank you, Latasha. Appreciate you coming to Vidalia and to open the business. Thank you. Do I hear a motion we accept?
I make that motion.
Motion made by Ms. Demme. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Betts. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Ward.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Have a good day.
Hey, you too. Okay, second we have is SRI Operating Company. This is just a change in ownership of the Sonic 3594. And I don't think anybody's here with Sonic, is it? Okay. All right, any questions?
What it is the Sonic Corporation is buying back the store from the previous owner.
Okay,
So it's going to be a franchise store, not owner operation.
okay. All right, do I hear a motion we accept this? Motion made by Alderman Smith, do I hear a second?
Second.
Who was the second? Did Alderman Probst, did you second it?
Yep.
Who was the?
I did.
Oh, I'm sorry, Ms. Demby. Alderman Demby was the second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, all right. All right, number 3, we have a presentation on proposed management plan for the Town of Vidalia vehicle fleet. We have Mr. Joey Nunn, the area manager, and Ms. Karen Malberg, the account executive for Enterprise Fleet Management. If y'all would like to come and make a presentation to our council.
Is it okay if I do this?
Sure.
Okay. It's really hot. Am I close enough? Can you hear me?
Yes, just
Okay.
move a little bit closer if you would. Just a little bit.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, yeah, I
I
hear
can hear
you.
myself now. Sorry about that. All right, so first and foremost, we are a division of Enterprise Rent-A-Car. The rental car company operates over 2 million vehicles. So what we're talking about today is partnering with Enterprise Fleet Management. Our division shares best practices, industry expertise, economies of scale, so you as a city can operate your own fleet just as efficiently as a rental car company. In the state of Louisiana specifically, we work with over 90+ government entities. We're supported and backed by LMATs. We've got great relationships with Paul and Cliff over there. The idea that we want to talk about for the city today is to simplify it into a one-vehicle approach. And then, do you guys have the printout? Yep, looks like, of the plan. So the ideology and how this works is, as a government entity, as the city, you guys are allowed to acquire vehicles off state contract price that's already been negotiated on your end. What that looks like is, I like to give an example of a half-ton truck. If one of us go out, it's gonna be hard to find one because of the supply, but if you went and bought a half-ton truck today, a Ford crew cab, you're looking at $40,000+ right off the lot for a brand-new truck. Without even having to negotiate, because the state has already negotiated for you guys can buy this truck around $23,000 to $25,000 as of last year. So you guys buy vehicles $10,000 to $15,000 off invoice. Now, what you guys don't do is sell them proactively. You guys have over 50% of your fleet that's over 10 years old. It's very common for every government agency that we work with before they partner with us that they hold the vehicles till the wheels fall off. We always make the joke that they try to tape them back on, hold them for another few years. What we're talking about today is putting a proactive plan in place for the city to get the entire city fleet on a rotation. Now, just to be specific, we're looking at everything that's like a 1 ton or below. If you've got dump trucks or garbage trucks or buses or anything that's unique, that's a different type of cycling plan than what we're discussing. So what we're talking about today is getting the city on a 4-year rotation. A lot of people always ask, like, well, what is the overall effect? Over the next 8 years, by moving the vehicles to a proactive cycle, you would reduce your operating expense significantly. We show that over the next 8 years, you guys would save almost $400,000 in the fleet expenses alone. And how it works, if I always walk away and I have you guys talk about one word, it's resale. We sell over 1 million vehicles a year. That turns it into a science versus a guessing game. You guys already have this amazing buy in place that's similar to what rental car companies do. What you don't do is understand when is the right time to sell vehicles. We partner with you to give you the data and analytics that allows you to understand when's the best time to sell your vehicles, whether it's 12 months, 24, 36, 48, or longer, and provide that to you so you guys can just start funding the part of the vehicle that you're utilizing. We call it an open-ended lease. I hate the word lease because people think mileage penalty, wear and tear. This is just a finance down to a conservative balance because we know what the vehicle is going to sell for. So back to my half-ton truck example. If you know you're gonna buy it for 23, hold it for 4 years. You don't even need me. You could pull up your phone right now and look at a 4-year-old truck. You guys go roughly 10,000 miles a year, so 40,000 miles, and see what that resale value on that vehicle is. It's close to the same price you bought the vehicle 4 years prior. So what we would do, it's kind of like your taxes. We don't want you to pay cash for the vehicle and then have it all come back to you in 4 years. If we know the vehicle is going to sell for $18,000 in 4 years, we know you bought it for 23. That's $5,000. Enterprise would come in, have you finance it down to 10. We'd create a buffer. So then in 4 years, the vehicle is paid down to 10. You didn't even have to pay for the whole vehicle. So from a cash flow, it helps. In 4 years, we sell the vehicle on behalf of Vidalia. You guys get to reap the rewards and benefits of resale. So there's a case study in there from City of Ruston, because everyone always asks, like, who's done this, how's it happened? City of Ruston just took advantage of this in the last 12 months and saw over $500,000 come back to them because they sold the vehicles at the right time, taking advantage of the market. In today's economical state, the used car market's the highest it's been in over a decade. So that means cash flow in the fleet, which is usually goes down in value, a lot of the fleet has actually gone up in value. So this is stuff that, as exciting as it sounds, we track on a day-to-day basis. So what we're asking today is to address any questions, concerns, make sure you guys are comfortable. This is specific to a police department and a public works and the rest of the divisions. Every single vehicle has a sweet spot on replacement. But the ideology of what we're trying to talk about today is make sure that you guys have the entire fleet on a healthy rotation, automated. What the city is currently doing is you're paying a lot more to maintain an older fleet. We want you to move some of that expense over to on a healthier depreciation cause, and in doing so, moving the buckets around, you lower your total cost of owning the fleet. So I usually like to be quiet, ask questions at this point, so I don't talk and talk and talk.
Any questions from the council? Let them look at it just a second.
No, that's fine.
This will include police cars?
Yeah, yes, sir.
If you, well, as y'all are looking at that, that's the City of Bidet, the fleet planning analysis. That's showing 16 cars to be done in 2022. It increases till you get to your whole fleet, but you know, I don't see us doing the whole fleet like that. There's a sweet spot in there, I think.
So what we want to do is be transparent. We separate everything so you guys can see behind the scenes numbers. So what happens is you'll see the lease costs. It makes sense. If I did 10 vehicles this year and you spend $100,000, you get 10 more. Well, it's 10 plus 10, it's 200,000. So if you went up to 40 vehicles, that's 400,000. But what we're showing you is in year 4. So you'll see actually in year 4 here, there's $207,000 that would start coming back to the city, because that would be the first year where we would start selling the vehicles back. So it's actually the 600 minus the 200. So your expenditure would never go that high. And we have some cities where they downsize their fleets, because if you have a more optimal fleet, it's the department heads actually, like little kids, they go to the nicer, newer vehicles, and then you have some other vehicles that are just been sitting here longer that you can downsize and not have as large of a fleet. We do have other people who half-ton trucks. I mean, we're in Louisiana. Trucks are really popular in this state. We sell trucks for other entities every 12 to 24 months because you can sell the vehicle for more than you acquired for. So that allows you to get creative, and you're almost creating a self-funded model to where you might spend the payments over 12 months, but you would actually sell it for over what you made the payments on. And it creates kind of a structure to where you can actually do better than what we're presenting in this. So this is more of just the simplistic approach that we look at. And something I didn't mention is the reason so many entities are coming on board is the fact that we're not like, hey, good luck, I hope this works. We meet with you every 6 months. We provide a client strategy manager who brings you guys the analytics. So twice a year is what we've decided makes sense. Once to ensure you guys understand what the next year's budget would look like with recommendations we would put in front of you, but you're the boss and tell us what you want to do. And then 2, halfway through the year to make sure there's nothing creative from a budgetary stance that we need to do to drive down costs. So City of Ruston, for example, they were supposed to be on a 5-year rotation. We came to them at year 4 because they said that they had a sports complex that they were like, hey, that costs more than we needed to. They actually pulled vehicle equity out sooner, reduced their budget, and took the additional costs and reduction and moved it over and reallocated those funds. So it's your funds. We just meet with you every 6 months to give you the creative solutions to do so with them.
I know a lot of people have seen the Concordia Parish Sheriff's Department new units all over the highway. They used it. Isn't that a program that you set them up on?
Yep, Concordia's been with us.
Natchez as well?
Yep.
What other local entities within, say, 75 miles?
You're questioning. I just moved here like 18
Giving you
months ago.
pop
I was
test.
actually trying to look.
Winsboro.
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 Yeah, Winsboro. Town of Winsboro is a really good one. Monroe, West Monroe.
Jay talked with, who'd you talk with, Jay, that you talked to him about how?
We spoke with Karen Cotton, the finance director with the city of Broussard. She did a spoke to her, and, we wanted to talk to her about, okay, how does the mechanics of it work? Is it, how smooth transition can they get? And she said it was something that, and she did say she went into it a little bit leery, but she said it has been a very easy transition. I think that they have been in it about a year and a half or so, 2 years almost. She did say that handling what we were wondering about, or I was like, okay, you get your roll vehicles, what about the title paperwork? And she said, I sent it off, that they get a license plate paperwork in the mail. So that was good. And she said, as far as resale, I think she said the first batch of vehicles that they sold were 12 public works vehicles. And she said they were typical public works vehicles. Some of them had holes in the floors and so anyway, she said they got $8,000 for the 12 vehicles. What they did was basically the town declared them surplus, and they signed the titles to Enterprise sold them, and so, how, I'm not sure that Deb was in there, she can talk better about this on how they handled the money, but I think they basically did was in the lead payments.
Maybe not the first one, but later, they didn't get it up front, but they got it later.
Anyway, she said they found it very, very easy. She mentioned the rep meeting with them, I think every 6 months. The meeting just to say, here's where you're at and how y'all want to handle it.
In fairness to our council, and we're not going to ask them to make a vote on this tonight, because how many meetings have we had, for us to, those of us who have been in these meetings, to sit down and talk about it. And what I'd like to do is probably individually meet with, department heads, Jay, Deborah, and let's go over in detail and sit down and tell them what we've talked about, because we could get, really deep tonight. And I just think throwing this much at them to make this decision is too much for them to make a decision tonight, unless they want to. They might want to say, let's do it. But I just feel like, just looking at these numbers, you got to sit down and absorb what it's doing. I hope you appreciate that.
No, and we're not in the business of pressuring, but we are in the industry update business, and police department specifically, we're trying to do our due diligence. Anyone for like all the police departments, all the sheriff offices we work with 50% of the sheriff offices and a lot of police departments. It's a unique and crazy time with the manufacturers, Tahoes and Explorers and the vehicles that they're operating. If you're not right now at the head of the curve, you're looking at almost over a year before new vehicles even come. The Ford Explorer utilities, I think, were the most recent ones that they just started allowing things to come through, but because of the chip shortage and then the shortage in other items, it's creating a supply and demand, just like all these other, avenues are dealing with, which means if you don't make a decision in the next, short period of time, it will delay it almost probably an entire extra year. So we're just trying to be cautious and careful of that. Again, we're not trying to be in the business of pressuring, just that's one thing that we're trying to be cognizant of, is the fact that the Tahoes and the Explorer Utilities are the two vehicles that a lot of people are tracking right now.
And that's one of the things we have talked about in these meetings, is the time frame from the time you say yes is to get this turnaround. It's at a minimum 6 to 7, 8 months.
Yeah, we're actually telling people 9 or 10 now, because
So you're looking at something that wouldn't actually take place for several months.
that's the 6 months would be the Tahoes coming in, for example, but then you gotta get them upfitted, and depends on if they have that equipment available, that would be the additional delay.
Yeah. Any question from council to,
You
yeah?
said that we would, on your synopsis, you said that we would save a little over 400,000 in 8 years, and then you said reduce the maintenance cost by 74%. Is that 74% a year thing, or is that a 4-year average?
4-year average. Yeah, great number. Yeah. And the other item, I just want to make sure, this is not a plan where it's, again, you have to have the whole fleet. It's more of, and Karen will boast on this, it's an annual evaluation. So if we say, this is the 16 we need to get ahead of and get on board with, then we move forward. Next year, we come to you and go, hey, it's time, the next 15 are the ones, and you go, budget constraints, this project, or hey, we let people go. That's not the case. It's an annual evaluation that can be, looked at on a case-by-case scenario. We're just, again, we turn it into a math equation. We bring you the answers to the problems, and it's whether you want to move forward with the whole or just do it in increments.
Well, based on looking at what we got, you said we got 79% of our vehicle is over. What's your recommendation to start?
So right now, the recommendation would be the police department would be 9, and then the public works would be 7, to get them up to speed, is my understanding, with where they need to be. And then after that, we would be able to track the resale and the rest of the fleet to get it kind of up to date.
Okay, Joy, has anybody got a question of Joy before we move on? And again, what we'll do is this next month is meet, try to meet individually or with 2 at a time and discuss, sit down and, look more deeper into the numbers and all for them and answer some of those questions. For example, well, I don't want to get in that, but we want to have those discussions, because I'm sure they have a lot of questions tonight that just looking at this quick, they can't make a decision tonight, because I know the first time I listen to it, I'm going, I need to sit down and just really absorb these numbers. So, but Joey, I appreciate y'all coming tonight and showing up, and thank you very much, and we will be getting in touch with you pretty soon.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, the next thing we have is Mr. Mark LaFrancis. He's with the Wreaths Across America program. He came in and visited with Jay and requested to be put on our agenda, and okay.
Good evening. It's a pleasure to be here again. I was here a few years ago when we partnered with the City of Vidalia. The certificate is over on your credenza. Home with Heroes has been around since 2013. We are a private nonprofit 501c3 organization. We have a wonderful board of directors that I answer to. And we provide emergency assistance for veterans. We provide a museum and a free clothing bank for veterans and their loved ones. And we provide a lot of other different kind of services, as you see on your Home with Heroes cards. But right now, I'm the area coordinator for the Wreaths Across America program. Those unfamiliar with it, it is a nationwide effort to put wreaths on the graves of veterans in cemeteries, both public, national, and private. We already coordinate with the Natchez National Cemetery. We've been doing that for quite a few years. We also coordinate with the Green Lawn Memorial Park over in Natchez. And I heard about the Vidalia City Cemetery, And I said, I am sure there are veterans that are there that deserve a wreath for the Wreaths Across America Day. This year's December 18th, as you see on your sheets. What we had done is I've talked to Catherine Cartwright. There she is, okay. Good to see you. About taking care of the veterans' graves at the Vidalia City Cemetery. Now, there's a small number that we have learned are there, but we have talked and we believe there are a lot more veterans buried there than the 15 or 20, I think that's on the letter. And I also agreed that Home with Heroes would do some revenue sharing with Vidalia City Cemetery. What I'm hoping is that this will be the start of a very good relationship, and it'll be a neat thing not only for the community, but the families of the veterans and for the deceased veterans themselves. Wreath sponsorships can be done by anybody. Doesn't have to be by a family member. They can be a business sponsorship, they can be a personal sponsorship, and we make sure that if someone designates a grave, that a wreath is placed on that grave December all the way through to the end of January. If they're a loved one there that people would like to sponsor, and they can't be there to put it on that grave, we will take care of it. We'll make sure it gets done. We've done that for, like I said, a number of years. So we'd like to have your support, as you see in your letter, and we would appreciate your being there when we have a ceremony on December 18th. And I'll answer any questions.
Is there any questions for Mr. LaFrancis? What is, so specifically, I was looking for it, he had gone over, but I don't see the cost. What was the cost?
$15 per wreath. And Home with Heroes gets $5 back from Wreaths Across America for use to help local veterans and their loved ones.
Okay, so how many wreaths are you talking about?
Well, right now, from the numbers you have in front of you, I think Ms. Carey said about 15 to 20 that you know of. But we believe there are quite a few more veterans buried in Vidalia City Cemetery. However, if there are funds left over, we would hope that you would allow us to take care of some veterans at the Natchez National Cemetery, where I'm sure there are Vidalia residents, Vidalia veterans who are buried there, Concordia Parish. And I want to emphasize, no one in Home with Heroes Foundation earns a dime. Everything we do is free of charge for veterans and their loved ones. So we're a pure nonprofit organization.
How can we make sure that those people who are Vidalia residents that fought in our wars or over in Natchez or, those cemeteries are identified and found so that we, if we do this, that we can make sure they get recognition and get the wreath?
It's going to take an initial effort. Media, posters, and word of mouth is a great way to do it. Facebook, social media, to be able to alert people that we have this program now, and we need people to identify veterans who are buried there. First off, so the city, the Vidalia City Cemetery can update its records and have a good record, but also so we can have their name and where their grave is located for future years, so we can make sure that they get honored for those who want to make the sponsorships.
Well, I will say that there's not enough that we can do to recognize these families and these men who have died on our, serving our country. If you just say 75 to 100, we're only talking about, what, $1,200, $1,500? And it is a sponsorship. It's not a donation. It's a sponsorship, which we, number one, would look into make sure that it's municipality, because state of Louisiana does have ethic laws that we can't donate, give anything, and we will verify that. But if I could get the council to, maybe agree to a certain number, up to of citizens, and if y'all identify more that's actually Louisiana residents, I'm sure they would be more than happy to provide a wreath to those families, and I would certainly hope that the council would do that. I mean, of course, I don't want to put words in their mouth, but is there any questions that anybody have, would like to ask? Okay. Alderman, you want to make that motion, Alderman Smith? And now, what y'all want to identify a number that we start out with, and if they produce the list as they do the research and produce more that are Bidet residents, and that we can verify that, we would want to make sure, I can think of several just off the top of my head, we want to make sure that they're recognized and that they're covered and the families, know about it. So.
Is this, I noticed that on the letter it said $1,000. Is that for maybe the 65 Wreath that they're asking for? I heard Ms. Cartwright say something about 29 to 30. So I'm trying to get some clarity on that.
So how much money, Ms.?
Oh, I saw in the letter here, it says $1,000.
Oh, okay.
This letter served as a request for $1,000.
Okay. All right. If y'all want to go with that and make that motion for that, and if they produce more, we'll come back and ask for more if y'all want to do that.
$1,000 will get you about 65.
Yes.
So your motion say that?
Yeah.
Okay. Motion made by Alderman Smith, and this is subject to being, we get approval, check with ethics and make sure that that's okay, and that probably is. But motion made by Alderman Smith, do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Denby. All right, any more discussion? Okay, let's take a vote. Let's do roll call on this.
Motion's offered by Alderman Smith and seconded by Alderwoman Denby is to provide a $1,000 sponsorship to Home with Heroes Foundation for the Wreaths Across America program. Alderman Betts,
Yes.
Alderwoman Denby,
Yes.
Alderman Gardner is absent, Alderman Probst,
Yes.
Alderman Smith.
Yes.
Mayor, the records show that the votes 4 yeas, 0 nays, with 1 absent. The motion passes.
Mr. LaFrancis, thank you very much, and thank you for doing the program.
Thank you very much, and please remember to pray for our men and women serving in uniform here and far. Thank you very much. Now, I'm going to leave these service cards here so the public can
Okay.
pick them up.
If you'll put them on that table back there, we'll be sure we get them dispersed, okay? And after tonight, we'll move them to our vestibule in the hall.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bless you.
Thank you very much. Okay, the next thing we have is number 6, is we have board discussion and vote on approval of a new hire for Vidalia Police Department. He's actually returning, Mr. Robert T. Cross, as a full-time patrol officer. We have Frankie Carroll, and is the chief, Assistant Chief Dennis, yeah, there he is. Dennis Cowan's here. Is there any questions, or are we ready to make a motion? Any questions or discussion?
I was just gonna wonder, is this an officer we had prior, right?
Mm-hmm.
He was here before,
Mm-hmm.
and he left? And he left in good standing?
Mm-hmm. Or I'm gonna let Mr. Carroll and Dennis address those questions.
He went to work with his daddy when in the storm, he come through the side, flipped on the roof, 7 room, got construction company back, put on. They kind of caught up now, and he still go work with his dad on his office.
How did that leave us when he left us? We had enough? When he just left? He give you a notice?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
That was the first thing I asked Joey when I talked to him about how he left. And Joey was, he said he was very tickled to get him back. He said he was a good officer.
If I can add, he's been a reserve.
Right.
Even though he's been young, he has been a reserve
Reserve,
officer.
yeah.
He's trained, we sent him to the academy. It's fortunate we're gonna get him back, but he's already a post-certified officer.
There's also another officer that we didn't do that for.
Sir?
There's another officer that was not hired back that left.
Yes, sir, that's the chief's discretion.
I know. And that's the problem I've got. I don't want to mention names. I think we know who he is. I think Frankie knows who it is.
We get the schools to start back, we haven't move an officer off patrol into the school, so we'll have 4
Right.
SROs for the schools and. like I
But I'm
said,
just making a point
Yes, sir.
as to what took place with another officer who went off,
that is the
left in
truth.
good standing, as far as I know, and did not have the opportunity to get hired back.
There's some things that went on that you're not aware of. Mr.
That's
President.
all I'm just saying, that's what I've heard
And
now.
that is the chief's discretion, who we hire.
That's right, it definitely is.
Yes, sir, I understand your point.
Okay. I just want to make that point.
Yes, sir, I understand.
Okay, any other questions?
Yeah, I have one.
Okay.
You was, were you saying that he had left, but he was still a part of the police department?
He was a reserve officer, yes, ma'am.
So in essence, he really never left, right?
Not really, no, ma'am.
Okay, so he was working,
He just wasn't full-time, he was a reserve, used as we needed him,
Mhm.
but now he's coming back full-time.
okay.
But yes, ma'am, to answer your question, no, he never actually left.
Yeah.
Any other questions? All right, do I hear a motion that we accept, Mr. Cross?
I'll make the motion.
Motion made by Alderman Betts, do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Probst. All in favor, say aye. Okay. Thank y'all. Next thing we have is board discussion and vote on approval to accept Louisiana DEQ environmental audit of Town of Bidet wastewater treatment plant. We have Mr. Cornell Lewis is going to come and give us that report.
Yeah, it's basically our environmental audit for our wastewater collection and treatment facility. You know, it's something that we do every year. You know, we've got to turn it to the state. In this report or whatever, everything is, you know, pretty normal for our facilities. I mean, we had, you know, just a couple minor issues or whatever, but of course, you know, we at the mercy of the Mississippi River or whatever, but everything up on the ups and ups or whatever. So, if anybody got any questions about this audit?
Any questions? Okay, I do want to point out that this, you know, back when we first, put SIRE onto our system, there was a lot of, comments and things of that nature, and they've been on our system ever since they've been in operation, and there's not been any change in it, and they did exactly what they said they would do, and it was they went through rigorous testing
Right.
of at their point of discharge, and I want to say that they've really been good partners with us, and we're lucky to have them. So
Yeah, they're still actually doing their, testing and everything. So, I mean, they still on track on that. So,
yeah.
There's always eyes on it, so.
And y'all have done a lot of improvements to with the reclaim that we've had. Y'all have really built up the roads around the
Yes.
ponds, which maybe solidified some of the issues we had having to put actually HESCO baskets around them to protect have the ponds from blowing out, so to speak. So that is something that's all good. So thank you, Cornell, for that report. Do I hear a motion we accept this report? Motion made by Alderman Smith. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Demme. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Thank you, Cornell. The next thing we have is discussion on the Town of Bidet entering into agreement with the River Park Medical Center regarding the gazebo area. Let me set the table with this discussion. Dr. White had contacted me and had asked did the town still have insurance on the gazebo, and I said, no, we don't have insurance on the gazebo, and I said we wouldn't have that. It's under our understanding that y'all own that property, and they do. So I said, I do need to get to the bottom of what the agreement was, and we went and we've got an agreement that was back when the convention center was built, the parking lot, that is the River Park parking lot, the town went into a joint use agreement with them where we could use their parking lot for events at the convention center if we would get insurance on that parking lot and indemnify the doctors and owners of River Park Hospital that they would not be held responsible in case there was a claim related to whoever was coming to an event at the convention center. So in turn for that, the city was going to maintain their parking lot, cutting grass, edging and that sort of thing. Well, the practice through the years, even before I got in office, was they have been maintaining their own parking lot. And we've been cutting the gazebo area. I don't know, at some point, earlier that responsibilities got swapped up or what, but we've been cutting the gazebo area, but we've not been maintaining it because the gazebo is in bad need of repair and things of that nature. So I talked to the doctors and asked them that, I would have no problem indemnifying them if they would give us a joint use for that area, just like we did for our convention center, for us to use that area for Christmas decorations, because we're wanting to expand that experience in our town, and also make the gazebo more presentable and do repairs to it, because right now it's not a nice looking thing, and nobody, it's actually a liability, with the condition it's in. So Dr. White said, if I would ask the council to agree to go into an agreement to that, if y'all will approve that, that will basically be the limit of our use of it, would be for Christmas decorations, and continue cutting and maintaining the gazebo area for our local families and anybody else, travelers, to stop by and take pictures and so forth. So that's what this is about, and we would, that agreement would basically be limited to that, and we would indemnify doctors against any kind of liability if somebody's using it for those type things.
But you said we had an old agreement that was with them. Is it still in effect?
Yes, then that's strictly on the parking lot, though. It has nothing to do with the gazebo area.
You said we haven't been cutting it?
Not the parking lot. That's what I'm.
Supposed to be cutting it?
We have been supposed to be cutting it, but we wasn't supposed to be cutting the gazebo. Huh?
So what was their comment about that?
Well,
they didn't fulfill our agreement.
Well, they just saw it the other day when they sent that agreement. I hadn't seen the agreement that was there, but they have been maintaining their own parking lot, cutting it. But we've been cutting the gazebo area. But we're supposed to have been cutting.
Are we going to do both now, or what are we going to do?
We would do both for use. It's just a joint use thing, and we would have to have insurance on it to protect them, just like we do on the parking lot.
But that's actually their gazebo.
It's actually, well, it's on their property, yes.
Right.
But
it's our gazebo.
Pardon?
But it's our gazebo that we're supposed to be maintaining.
No, it's not our gazebo.
It's their gazebo. They built it.
I don't know who built it. All I'm saying is on that property.
I always wondered who was supposed to maintain it, because it sure was rough looking.
Oh, I know it, and I haven't maintained it because it is. That's why we haven't put Christmas decorations on it, because it's not our property. But I would like for us to improve that by going in this agreement. We can improve the gazebo. We have the carpenter to do it, and we'll make it a very, very nice thing. That we're trying to do is to make this a showplace. Our riverfront, I'm going to tell y'all right now, I've been dealing with the Garden Club and the Beautification Committee, and we've got some wonderful ideas. That's going to be a beauty. I'm disappointed in the way it looks down there right now as far as our flower beds and the appearances of it. And working with these two civic organizations, we're going to make a difference when people come over that levee and see what we have and what we're going to have to offer. And by doing this, we will be able to expand the Christmas experience and be able to put decorations on that area, which is going to be really, really something, I think. So
this is, again, going to have to be made into a cooperative endeavor.
Well, no, it's just be a joint use agreement. If the doctors want to have a party or something, whatever, that's their property, and they want to do it.
Can we do that on private property?
Pardon?
Can't we legally do that on private property, or do we have to enter into a cooperative endeavor? That's not our
It's
property.
just it's a joint use. It's a joint use agreement, and I'll let council defer to that. If he has a different opinion on it, we'll certainly.
I just want to know.
But that's what it's in place now. It's called a joint use agreement between River Park Medical and the town of Vidalia for their parking lot. Pardon?
I'm just saying, is that what we? Yeah.
I'm
that's
sorry?
Something we need to look at.
I'm sorry, council. Council, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
I said that I had not thought about that. I'll have to think about it and look at it, but it's not a lot of difference between a use agreement and a cooperative endeavor.
I've just never heard of a use agreement. We've always used cooperative endeavor.
Well,
I don't know what the difference is what I'm saying.
There's a lot of differences with what happened early on and what happened later, so I'll take a look at it. We'll do whatever we need to do it.
Right.
The main thing I'd like to do is if that's what is okay with the council.
Somebody needs to maintain it.
Well, we're maintaining it now, so it
I
just,
mean, but it needs to be fixed.
yeah, well, we'll fix it. I mean, if we all agree to do it, if
Somebody
not,
needs to, if we can legally do it, because it's, I mean, everybody probably thinks it is ours, you know.
well, they do, and then one of the things that would be in this multi-use is that we would maintain the gazebo. That's what we would agree to do, and I think we should, you know, because we don't want it to not be under our control to not fix.
I just see which way is the best way to go. I mean, as far as how we need to actually state it, as far as a cooperative endeavor, or
That's what I'll do.
that's what you're gonna look at?
So, any other questions? Do I hear a motion that we enter to some type of agreement that actually addresses that? I mean, whichever one is legal.
I'll make that motion.
Okay. Okay, motion made by Alderman Bett, second by Alderman Smith. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank y'all very much. Okay, next on the agenda, we have discussion on the Town of Vidalia membership agreement with Natchez, Inc. I'd like again to, you know, lead into this with everybody knows that we lost when we got in office, that Heather Malone was our economic development director, and prior to us taking office in February of 16, had entered to a agreement with Natchez, Inc. that specified, you know, some of the things that the town would do and that the Natchez, Inc. would do in regards to our economic development. Contract was for 3 years, and it can, after the 3 years, it can be, either party can terminate that with, in 30 days with a letter. But, you know, now that Heather's gone, the terms of the agreement was to belong to Natchez, Inc., it cost $100,000 a year. There were 3 options that were given to the town, how they wanted to do it. They would take the services of Heather and they would give us a credit on the $100,000. They would basically discount it with her salary off that $100,000, and the difference between that was the town would pay them in a check, which is about $2,000, I think $300 something a month. In addition, they had Heather. Of course, we know Heather has left, and now you know there's nobody there, and it's one of the things that I did have a problem with is when I got in office, there was an agreement between Concordia Parish Economic Development and the town of Bidet on how, you know, her time would be spent. Well, you know, when we got in office, those 2 contracts contradicted each other, and I wanted a more concise contract that identified what reality was. And those contracts are certainly not reflective of what the reality of that relationship has been. So all I'm saying is Heather's gone. So I think, you know, we need to examine that relationship, where we're at on it, and get the board's feeling on it. And also Chandler's here with Natchez, Inc., as well as Amy Gatto, and Ricky Knapp is on their board. He's the Vidalia representative that sits on their board, and I will, you know, this is for us to discuss, you know, what to do, whether or not to continue like it is, or to, you know, maybe, you know, readdress and hammer out a more reflective agreement between the 2 parties, all 3 parties, Concordia Economic Development, the town of Vidalia, and Natchez, Inc., to, you know, represent what's actual reality. So that being said, I'm going to let Chandler speak a minute before the council might have any questions or discussion on moving forward. So, Ms. Chandler Russ.
Well, thank you, Mayor. And it's been I'll be honest with you, it's been a wonderful 5 years, and we also miss Heather greatly. You know, Heather was our Deputy Director for Economic Development for Natchez, Inc., and did a fabulous job for Vidalia, as well as Natchez and Adams County. She was definitely somebody that we missed, and our prediction of losing for y'all a 13-year employee right out of the gate, we're going to have some rough spots moving forward. Our contract predicated over the 5-year period was really surrounded around Heather, meaning the contract really worked because Heather was party to that contract. You know, we had many issues that came up over the 5-year period regarding the contract. You know, we sought ethics opinions from the state of Louisiana to see if we could do this, and this based on the contract and things like that. And quite frankly, you know, in hindsight, the reason it worked is because of Heather. Heather is gone, and we wish her well. But the merits of the partnership should not be lost. And that's what I would contend, that we don't lose sight of the value in a regional group promoting Vidalia and this region as a whole, and managing your economic development services going forward. They're very vital. We can sit here and tout our horn and go through the list of accomplishments over the course of the thing. I told Buzz yesterday when we were talking, I said probably if we had, in hindsight, if we made a mistake, it's probably in the optics actually with Heather. Meaning, so every time Heather left our office and went to a drainage meeting, a port priority meeting, a prospect meeting, any meeting regarding Vidalia, she left from us as a Natchez Inc. employee. The majority of everybody would see her normally as a Town of Vidalia employee, and that we probably should have supplemented some of that role and the actual contract over time. But in saying that, you know, the value that we've provided back over the 5 years has been tremendous, and the merits of that are worthy to move forward, to find ground to move forward, and it's our hope that we do find grounds to move forward as a region. I think it's beneficial, highly beneficial to all entities, both Natchez, Vidalia, Adams County, all of our parties, and with Natchez now, and so it's something that we're proud of, that partnership. Regional partnerships, especially across state lines, if you go look at them, they're hard. Every time you get a win on one side of the proverbial state line, you have to always kind of manage those relationships, and a lot of times they get fragmented. And so I would encourage you, as we move forward over these next couple of months, and we try to figure out how to move forward collectively and together, that you put that in the forefront, that it's a rising tide of all boats. It's something that we definitely it needs to be how appropriate.
I'm sorry.
So we had a good opportunity to move forward. I think together we're stronger as a unit together than we are separate. We are stronger as a piece. We get to represent. You know, we're stronger politically together. We're stronger as a workforce together. We're stronger sites together, infrastructure, everything that's important in economic development, instead of fragmenting that and dealing it off in pieces. And so I'd encourage us to, as we move forward, to find things. There's a lot of issues to work out that
Council got questions?
I mean, I truly believe we need a economic development, and, you know, filling Heather's shoes can be incredibly tough. And I don't, ever how we have to do this, I just want to make sure that, because I guess I reflect back, you know, ever since I was a kid, Dad worked in Natchez, and, you know, if Natchez succeeds, we succeed, and vice versa. So, you know, if there's a way to work it out, you know, reasonable, I mean, I'd be willing to listen to that.
Yeah. I don't think, you know, I don't think Heather is replaceable right now under the circumstances. You got a 13-year veteran, highly trained, had a you know, smart, and was able to do the job at a high level. We definitely, you know, as we look back in the economic development, and so, which I think is even more important, that you're probably going to end up with someone in a 3-4 year experience range that maybe hasn't touched projects as much and hadn't touched as much community development items as much. And so the ability to have some guidance in that. But, you know, I'll be honest with you, at the onset, 5 years ago, Heather was a bigger proponent of this regional partnership. You know, I went to Heather 3 years before on several occasions, just trying to hire Heather, right, to come work for us, and she believed wholeheartedly. And to be honest with you, after you know, short order, it was apparent that it's definitely better for all parties to be a part of that, and so we're definitely you know, would like to continue the process, and we're not opposed to having a new contract that all parties can come to terms on. But I will tell you, you know, I think there are some items that will be difficult on a contract negotiation side of things. I'm not, you know, I'm very straightforward, as y'all know, and don't mince many words, and that's where those are. So.
Did any of the other members of Natchez Inc. have the same kind of situation that we had here in Vidalia?
What do you mean?
Well, Heather, like you said, was our employee, basically. We paid the salary, we got credit with them. Does the city of Natchez do the same thing? Does Adams County do the same thing?
No.
Okay.
It is a straight fee structure that city of Natchez is at $100,000, just like y'all. And the county, and I don't remember off the top of my head what the county is, but is higher than that. They are the largest donor, as they've got the bigger pie there per se. But they have there are no conditions. So we basically have a legislative authority with the city of Natchez and Adams County, and then our private entity, which is significant and should not be overlooked in these discussions. So roughly about 80, 85 members, and it fluctuates. You can get as high as 90, 95, but somewhere around 80, 85 members in Natchez now, which Ricky is a member in Natchez now. But it is the private fundraising arm for economic development, and they contribute nearly a third of our budget on an annual basis from the private sector. And to me, it is probably, as you can imagine, the area has been doing economic development long before I got here, and the new piece in all of that puzzle, as far as public funding in the economic development, is the private piece coming in, and the tune of Natchez now. So we lean on that membership a lot for guidance and expertise, and they're able to understand and see the benefits of investing in economic development and the future of the area. So, but those are the four entities involved are Natchez now, City of Natchez, Adams County, and Town of Bidet. Those are the four entities.
Any other questions? Because I do, Chandler, you know, and I have some observations, and I don't want to kick this too bad. You know, Heather made that thing work, and it did with her, and she's gone. You know, you and I have talked, and you said you want, you know, when you and I initially discussed with Heather, you said that you was going to be the one to pick this person, which I had a complete no, that's not going to happen. Now, we visited yesterday. You said you wanted to be involved in the hiring whoever this person is going to be. Because if Bidet has no say in who's hired, if no roots to Louisiana, no roots to Bidet, I don't think we're going to get good representation for our money. I'm just being honest. And I just...
I disagree with that.
Huh?
Because when you say that, you're saying that either myself or Amy is not provided. We don't give the same vigor to Vidalia as we do to Natchez. I can tell you, and you can get on the phone and call, with Tance and Paul and all of the people that we represented, that we are as vigorous promotion of the town and of its assets and of its lobbying efforts and everything that goes into the economic development as anybody. And that's what I was saying earlier. So y'all, and here we are again, you're saying, well, work with Heather. That's what I'm saying. Every time Heather walked out of our office,
Mm-hmm.
she left there as a Natchez Inc. employee. And it never transferred, that's what I'm saying. It worked because you were saying that. And I'm in the opinion that she was, she'd come back from a board priority meeting. We'd sit down, we'd discuss it 30 minutes, figure out the next, what is the next item that, how do we promote that? How do we advance it? How do we move it forward? Same thing on projects, same thing on everything. There was I think she had 19 items when that she left us. About I think 14 of those were Vidalia or Concordia Parish related items, and we've tried in the 30 days that she's been gone to manage those items as they are either needed or required, and so, but I think that's the crux of it is that, granted, Heather was a hometown girl, fully understand it, but there's also the professional side of this. This is not Friday Night Lights. This is the business of economic development, and I can tell you, when it's game time and we're in the room representing Vidalia, it is no less than what we would do, across the river. It is as vigorous and professional and from a promotional standpoint as we can be, and so yeah, I don't like it characterized like that, meaning that it's that there was some chasm there, because there was she was taking care of Vidalia. We were taking care of Vidalia. She was just in charge of it from that side, and we, and like I said, she did it great, and I have no qualms with that. But it's we were pushing that ball as much as we could possibly push it. And so, and that's what I was, that goes back to the point of what I was telling you earlier, is if we made a mistake, it's probably an optics, as what Mr. Pugh.
Okay, let me make some more observations. Number one, again, this is nothing against you or Amy, and but I, represent the town of Vidalia as far as in that we represent the town of Vidalia, not just I, but we do. And, we write a check that monies go in that y'all get and that y'all do. I don't think I have received ever any kind of money, how y'all spend those monies, I mean, I'm all about regionalism, but do I have to write you a check to have regionalism? Do I have to do that? That's be debated later. But my main problem is I want to be informed if something, I want Bidet added to advertising. When I hear Christmas Natchez Inc. advertising and they talk about Natchez Adams County, Bidet was always excluded. Right now on your website, Bidet is excluded on what we're about. It's about Natchez Adams County. Y'all are we're excluded on it. Now we're mentioned in one part on it, but then again, when it's talking again, one of the things I think is what we're about or something. Bidet is not on there. I've got a real problem with that. And I'm just mentioning these things that if the council wants to continue like we're going, I'm all for it. But if they want to relook at it and let us come up with something more. Another thing that we're forgetting in this is Concordia Parish Economic Development Authority. They pay nothing to sit, but they have skin in the game. We're the ones carrying the full load for Concordia Parish, basically. And that's okay. I don't have a problem with that. But what I'm saying is there's a board for that organization as well that needs to be brought into this and discuss this situation and this relationship to get how they feel. Now, I can tell you none of them on that board know anything other than, and Heather did a good job, but she did a lot of community development that I don't know if y'all will do if y'all are going to do that, because she did way more of that for us. That was very critical for us to get a lot of these projects done as far as our substation, our expanding our water plant, just everything involved. She did a lot of work, and I want to nail down, if we go forward with this, what those responsibilities are going to be, and I want some ability to say you're going to do this, and I don't want that to be 100% Chandler Russ telling them what to do if they're an employee of a day and we're writing their check. I'm sorry. I'm being. Again, y'all have done a good job. We landed Denham and Syra right off the bat, and like I said, Ms. Cassandra, I will talk to you about Denham because, I've got a lot of information for you, but y'all were instrumental in putting that together, But, and I'm not saying it was me, but I was kind of engaged and brought into meetings. And how many prospects have we had that y'all have talked to since that time? And I don't know the name of the first one that was for Concordia Parish, and I got a problem with that.
We've had several RFPs that we've completed, through LED, through other sources, and as you remember, so we've had about a 14, 15-month hiatus with COVID, so there hadn't been a tremendous amount of on-site project activity, meaning where clients are coming to the sites and looking. But virtual sites, RFP sites. I know that there are, I think, 2 active clients through LED. I have to go back and look.
And how long have y'all had those? And I still don't know who they are or what they are.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But they're LED projects, so all they are is code name projects. We don't know who they are yet, because we haven't advanced to either a short list or done a site visit or come around. So we've completed an RFP. They'll review the RFP. They'll take in hundreds of sites that they're looking at across the southeast, and they'll narrow that down. And at that point, once we make it through either a narrow down and even maybe another narrow down, then we probably get boots on the ground. And that's typically when we engage, local officials, community assets, whether it's power, water, sewer, gas, whatever the needs of the client, what we've got to shut up port facilities, things like that. But since Sarah, I'd have to go back and look. I know that we've shown a portion of Vidalia bills of the Bidet Denim building to client. This is either right before COVID.
And again, I don't know who that is.
Yeah, well, I mean, but it was a client that was generated by bills. I mean, I think it was actually the people that made the mask, the mask up there on the top floor, if I remember right. And I've got to go back and look. I don't have the logistics off the top of my head. But granted, but even over that, since you're talking since Sarah, I guess we're saying, as I know we had, and I say we, and I say Natchez Inc. via Heather, at least weekly or bi-weekly meetings with you and other, department heads and other people. And so it was our understanding, I guess, in that time that information is being transferred. And so, I mean, as we sit here today, obviously it hasn't been, and I've got to go back and look, and I'll pull the information, and we can have the code name, when we submitted it, what it looks like, how it, what it projected to be. I mean, I know one of them was Project Independence is the name of it, and I can't remember the other one.
My request is going to be, regardless of whether we go forward with like it is now, or there's a different one, I want to be at the table when these people are discussed. I want to be at the table with LED, because I know what kind of future we have, and just for transparency, there's competing states. There's people come in looking at Mississippi and Louisiana. I'm gonna make dang sure Louisiana and Bidet is represented, and I'm at the table speaking for this town.
Right.
And I'm all for, look, if Natchez gets, I am elated for, Dan's doing a wonderful job. Y'all are doing a wonderful job. Natchez is doing good. I'm so excited for y'all. And I believe in the regionalism, I really do. But I've got a responsibility that I want to make sure that we're getting our bang for our buck. And I promise you that's just going forward, that's all I'm asking. And again, I appreciate it, Shannon, but we do need to talk more, and I want to be communicated with way more than what I have been. And so.
I got something to say too. That's kind of like the board felt whenever we were doing all this with Sarah and Denham. We had no information. We had nothing. We felt like we didn't get it until, okay, here they are. Boom. And that's how we felt. I'm telling you, it's not good. And it's not good for the public. The other thing about it is, these two entities down here, the public has not been informed whatsoever as to how they're operating, who they're employing, or anything else that's involved with those companies. Nobody knows nothing, not a thing. And there's a lot of people out there. I hear it all the time. How many people they got? They laid all these people off? What's happening down there? That's what she's talking about right there. And nobody knows nothing. How come it's so? We want to be open and transparent, but yet nobody knows anything. Now, how come? Now, we were that way when they were, oh, they're coming. We don't need to know who they are. But now they're here, we still don't need to know what they're doing. And that's not good for the community at all. Point made. We need to change that somehow. And a report needs to be brought to this Alderman Board or the City of Vidalia as to what's going on down there. If it's y'all, then that comes from y'all. I don't know who it comes from, but it needs to be done. And it needs to be brought to this town.
Well, we can give you as much information as is publicly available. They are a private entity.
Hey, private, but again.
Going back to, we did not keep we signed confidentiality agreements, Alderman Probst, on the front end of this, that we can't, and I'm telling you, when you spread it among, and I'm not saying anything against the alderman, I'm just saying the more people you put that's in that, when it got to a point of when it got to, y'all were informed, Heather sat down with y'all, I wasn't involved, I didn't sit down, but I think Heather sat down with all of y'all and went over everything. But I mean, but when you're,
That's the same point
I know,
you're making with him.
I know, but
Exactly.
that's my job.
It's our job.
It's not to sit in and sit there
Not to
and,
sit in, but to have information.
well, as that can come available. But I mean, when I'm signing that check, I should know. That's my job. And if I sign a confidentiality that I can't discuss that with the board. I can tell you we're talking to somebody.
When we negotiate that contract, I agree. I'm not disagreeing with
Okay.
you at all.
Okay.
I'm
Well,
not
good.
disagreeing with you at all on this point.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay, because I promise you that I'm all about transparency. I really am, whether somebody wants to say that or not. Some people will say that, but I am, because I have nothing to hide. But anyway. And as far as, just like Ms. Lynch was asking some good questions about Denham, I'll give her the information that we do have. You know, I'll be glad to do that. You know, there's things that people don't know. You know, for example, they have paid the town in utility bills and lease payments of $1.7 million since they've been in operation. You know, have they had a tough time? They sure have. They started operation in, I think, October, November of 2019. We all know what COVID did to our economy, and we're going to blame these people for that? If you held a gun to their head, they probably couldn't have done no better. I mean, there's been businesses go out of business because of COVID, shut down, workers. We see people just on a restaurant, let me finish, just at a restaurants can't get in workers to stay open, and we're going to get people.
We know all that, Mayor Kraft.
Okay,
We
well, I'm
know
just.
all that. We don't need to hear that. We know that's how it happened.
Well, I'm trying to tell you a little bit about what's going on, Alderman Probst.
I understand that. I can understand that.
I'm
I got a
answering.
business too. It's not doing.
Alderman Probst, I'm talking, and I'll let you talk. But Ms. Lynch, you know, as far as the grant goes, you know, they hadn't been able to do the jobs because they hadn't been able to get the people, and there was a lot of things that they couldn't get parts and things for things they was needing to get set up for because of COVID. They were over in Turkey. They didn't allow anything to come across the seas. Shipping lanes were shut down. A lot of things happened that it was no fault of their own. And I will tell you this, you know, that Natchez Inc. did grant them an extension on providing those jobs, and it gave them till July of this past year. Just quit. I mean, it just matured. I've talked to them, and they are agreeing to pay it back. And that's going to be something they're going to negotiate with us to pay back as they get going. So, you know, we're working to do what's best for this town. And I appreciate, and I have nothing to hide on that, so.
I got one more. What happened to the $8 million?
That's the grant we're talking about. That was put in equipment that.
What's happening with it though?
So it went into purchase machinery and equipment. So when you go out, have you been out there? Have you been to Bidet?
Not everybody in the parking lot.
Okay, well, there's about 125 employees out there, but anyway.
There.
I'm sorry. But if you went out there, the machinery and equipment that's out there, it is, you know, they've spent $60 million today, $60 million. And I would hate, like the mayor reported out a minute ago, hate to have been starting a startup company in the middle of a pandemic. I mean, how any of them have not jumped off the top of that roof, I have no idea. They have, they're weathering the storm, but they may went into, we're just now required, well, actually, we still got 60 days left before we're legally required to do an audit, an external audit of the fund. And so, but everything's documented, it's all the machinery equipment, everything has been on site, for instance. So, you know, they can tell me I'm spending $100,000 on this loom. I don't know whether it's a loom or a, circle press or whatever it is. And so, we hired external engineers to come and verify that this is in fact this piece of machinery and equipment that you have paid this amount of money for and it's installed. And so all of the machinery and equipment, every item that is out there, every dollar spent out there is on machinery, some of the machinery equipment out there that's in operation. So that was part of our deal. So the town netted out, like I said, the town netted out almost a little over $4.5 million on that building, which is, thank God that we were able to secure that. You probably would have ended up with a $20,000 to $30,000 monthly carrying cost on that facility with, utilities and.
A lot. It was a bunch.
Yeah, I mean, ton of stuff. And so, the town benefited immediately. If tomorrow, then they call it quits and shut their doors down, Vidalia's in a remarkable position regarding an economic development project. If we don't collect another dollar from them ever, if they don't put another job out there tomorrow, Vidalia, and, the windfall received from that is enormous. I kid the mayor, and this is the regional deal of it is, the same, not the same size, about half the size of that building, but we did make as good a deal on the IP property. And my supervisors in Adams County remind me of that often. But but we're definitely made sure, to the best of our ability, from our standpoint, that we protected the town's interest, that there was no, that under no circumstance would the town not be in a positive position regarding the deal. And they never have been. And so I'm sure that their, predictions of what they're going to do with jobs and everything, started 3 years ago or 4 years ago when they were looking at the project, almost 5 years ago now, somewhere around in there. And the project evolves towards what they can and what they thought, right, at the onset. And it's just part of natural business. I mean, if you were operating your business today, and had this wonderful idea, and then when you actually got into operating, so, well, maybe I need to do this instead of what I thought I needed to do. And so you got a lot of that that's happening. But they are, they are weathering the storm. They are, I believe, they're getting into, they're finally in a cash flow positive situation. And I believe we're going to look back and believe that we continue to make a good deal on it.
Another thing they did, it's just a lot of people don't know this, was when COVID was coming in, the only place we could get PPE was from China and overseas. Then FIBUS testified to, I think, one of the things that they retasked themselves to build masks for citizens. They retasked.
Yeah, we know that.
Okay, I'm just saying they have been, yes, have they had problems? I'm not sitting here telling you they've not had problems. I will agree. But they, there's been some things that I've not been happy with. But, I can't say that they haven't tried. And I'm thinking that they're going to turn the corner. And if they don't, we will certainly be in a good position to help somebody and do something different. So, but anyway, Chandler, like before when we was talking about the enterprise deal, we're just not going to make a decision tonight. I'd like to meet with the alderman, also meet with Concordia Economic Development, get their ideas, and let's try to sit down and come up with a, either keep it like it is or move forward with a different agreement and still be members and just come up with an idea that will work for everybody. Because I do believe in what y'all do. I'm happy for your successes. You got to have a lot of tire kickers before you have any buyers, and we know that. That's the way it is in sales. But thank you and Amy for your time. Thank you, Ricky, for serving. It's a thankless job, but Ricky does a good job. He stays informed. Ricky comes, visits with me, and we do talk, and I appreciate his efforts and what he does. So. Thank y'all very much. I appreciate it. Thank y'all. Okay. Last thing on our agenda is announcement of scheduled meeting dates to hear public input for possible uses of excess hydroelectric royalties. I've got two different scenarios, and I just want to make sure, Jay, if we have them on a Tuesday, we can have one that following Thursday, couldn't we, if we advertise? I'd like for us to look at August the 31st and September the 2nd, and September the 7th and September the 9th. So that's pretty quick coming up that we could get it advertised and, pardon?
Say the dates again.
August 31st and September the 2nd and September the 7th and 9th. That is a Tuesday and a Thursday of the same week if we so do, or if they want to, break that up further apart, we could. But I thought we'd go ahead and I'll do whatever the council's pleasure is on those dates, or if they want to add a date or look at a different date.
You're saying meet, I think that the board said at 6 in the evening on those dates?
I'll let them set the date and the time.
I make a motion, we set these dates at 6:00 PM.
Second.
For which dates?
The dates you said.
Pardon?
The dates you said.
Well, there was two sets. One was,
I mean, which one you want?
I want the first set.
It's first set.
31st and 2nd. Okay. All right. Alderman Benson made a motion at 6 o'clock on August 31st, and September 2nd, we'll have our public meetings for public input on our possible expenditures for our hydro funds. Okay, motion's made. Second made by Alderman Probst. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Do I hear a motion we adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion made by Alderman Best. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Denby. All in favor say aye. Aye. Thank y'all very much.